the triennial plan and the strategy for scouting together. And with that, like with the outcome focused objectives, like NSOs, member organizations, regions can think of specific action items. And with that, we want to create the ownerships that this strategy for scouting and this triennial plan is not just a global plan. It's a plan for every one of us here today to make this strategy happen. And also, it also paved a very good way for future growth. As you can see, the triennial plan focusing on the outcome will really work on the objectives, where we build our organizations and build solid foundations, where we go up to achieving these objectives. We have the solid way to promote growth and also to build up the capacities of our national scout organizations.
All right, thank you. That seems like a solid way forward. So talked a bit about how the plan came to be and how this new structure and systems will work. So let's look a bit at the what now, the content of the plan. So it's clear there's a lot that's on the table, like 18 big objectives. Probably spend the next 2 or 3 hours here, I think, going through all of them. So I'll just ask each of you, like, what is like, if you look at those 18, what are like 2 or so that are really close to your heart, that you feel as a World Scout Committee member, like, this is like important, I think, for the next triennium? Like, Diana, what would that be for you?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, maybe one of the most powerful objectives for me, the ones that we really need to put all our energy, knowledge, enthusiasm, is innovate education, for sure. We really need to provide very transformative learning experiences to all our young people around the world. And it's something that, I mean, it's our core business. So should be on our discussions, should be on the table, and we need to keep discussing about how we can improve in terms of providing the best educational proposal ever. We have been working a lot on these kind of things in the last reunion. We have like GPS, for example, that is a very interesting tool to review our youth programs. But now it's time also to keep thinking about, for example, the aspect of peace education or leadership development. I mean, there are like key topics that we for sure need to keep them on the table of the discussion of all the levels, because at the end of the day, it's our purpose, right? So I think that's one of the more powerful one.
Mhm.
Another one that is more like close to my heart, to say in one way, is the one related to diversity and inclusion. Um, we definitely need to reach out to all. I mean, all the people that are here, I'm sure that are convinced that the Scout method and what we do here in Scouting is changing the life of thousands of people around the world. So we really need to guarantee that changing experiences for everyone in all the corners of the world, for sure. Now we have recently we launched the report on diversity and inclusion as well. Thank you for all the countries as well that contribute with the information. I know that was a very hard work done by the team, but now we have the data, we have the information. And now in this triennium, I think we need to put the focus on how we are going to create like different actions, projects, and approach to really achieve those goals in regarding the diversity inclusion, and definitely reach out to all and many parents. So yeah, the flexibility and the dynamic really need to be in our core business. And at the end of the day, is the organization that need to be adapted to fix the needs of the young people around the world. It's not the other way around. The young people don't need to adapt to ourselves. We need to be as flexible as possible to be able to adapt to their needs and to reach out the ones that are not involved in scouting yet, but will be soon, I hope.
All right, so a focus on innovating education and on strengthening the diversity and working on a more inclusive movement. Thank you. Maury, what speaks to you? Like, what makes your heart beat faster in this objective?
Well, I would say the entire triennial plan, but if I have to choose, I think there are really two areas which I think see a lot of potential and a lot of work that we have to work on. One is, of course, on fit for purpose organizations. We have to continue to promote our governance practice to make sure that our organizations are fit for purpose, and also and with good. Another thing that I think in terms of fit for purpose organizations is definitely our financial sustainability. How can we equip our NSOs with better financial sustainability to ensure that they are also empowered in that sense? And I think there are quite a lot of things, and it's not just on the global level, but also like support on our national scale organizations in making sure that they also have this sort of like good governance practices, financial sustainability. And one way this is more of like closing to my heart is of course climate impact strategy. We are already in a way where we see like we heard a lot on climate impact, on sustainability. And I think it's really the time where we focus on climate impact strategy. How do we actually make our organizations more sustainable in the long run? And these are all the things that we have to work on in the next 3 years or like even further. And another thing that really, I think during my discussions with a lot of you here today in the plenary or like in the breakout just now, is about volunteering. Like we face a lot of global trends as to how do we actually manage our volunteers. Like, do we still have space for volunteers? Why and how do we actually retain our volunteers in that sense? And to me, I think this is really important. Like, we have really good programs, like we have our educational offerings, but we also need strong volunteers to make that happen. Like whether we need to move on our volunteering model to more agile approach, or like we have to find new ways of volunteering, giving the competencies and recognizing the competencies that our volunteers are doing are all the things that we have to work on in the next few years in order to make sure that our organizations and our movement can continue to grow and to support the educational initiatives that Diana has been talking about in order to support the delivery of all these educational offerings. And I think it's, well, we have been talking a lot, David, but I think it's time to really ask some of your perspective. Like with a new triennial plan, what we know, we shift from like outcome focused objectives, like we have new strategic priorities, a lot of new things. How do you actually make sure that our World Scout Bureau is actually also trying hard to collaborate with us, or like to collaborate to make sure that we can deliver the plan and deliver the strategy with scouting?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, yeah, from the World Scout Bureau perspective, I mean, I think we really see the new strategy also as a moment to look at the Bureau in a new way and make it ready for a new decade. And we had a lot of learnings, I think, as many of you from the pandemic. And we learned there that through the pandemic that we can support NSOs actually much quicker than we used to be, like technology, online, digital learning. But also during the pandemic, we learned we can actually support easily NSOs from anywhere around the world very efficiently. And that's, I mean, when I talk to NSOs leadership, when they reach out to the Bureau, like they want basically, like what I hear from is when you reach the Bureau as NSO, you want an answer and you want a solution or a pointer to a certain resource. And it doesn't matter where that pointer comes from as long as it comes efficient and in a qualitative way. And I think like what we're thinking with the Bureau for the next 10 years is really we need to put NSOs even more central and make sure that the support we deliver is as efficient and effective as possible. So we see this basically, this new strategy as a once in a generation opportunity to review and rethink the World Scout Bureau support structures. One thing I also learned when I talk to staff is we know a lot about national scout organizations, loads of data. You send us massive amounts of surveys. We sent you too many surveys, by the way, which we want to improve. But we sit on that data, but then when staff or committee members or volunteers, they go out to national scout organizations, it often requires 3, 4 emails or chats to get all the data together. And one of the things that I think as a bureau we need to do better is actually unlock all that knowledge much easier, available for our WUSM consultants, for our committees, for our staff. And this is something where AI can easily help us. Like we've seen like how AI can easily unlock large amounts of data. And I think we need to explore over the next years how we can much more efficiently understand the reality of our NSOs based on all the information we sit on, and then help that to inform our strategies. That I think is definitely something the Bureau should focus on. The other element I think is about our volunteers. I mean, the Bureau can only do the work through the powerful collaboration we have with hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteers around the world. And we need to make sure that those volunteer experiences, that we support them extremely well as staff, because the power of scouting comes from, and particularly of World Scouting, comes from the diversity of volunteers we are able to leverage. So be it of volunteers collaborating with a staff member on a project to develop a resource, or together to deliver an event, or a training, or a workshop. We need to make sure all those experiences are impactful for volunteers, that they feel that they contribute to the objectives of World Scouting, but also that volunteers feel that you get something out of this. Like, this was really like an insight, a learning for us. So that, I think, as a bureau, I think we're doing well, but I think there's always space for improvement. And as volunteering evolves, so should volunteering at World Scouting evolve, and it's the role of the bureau to make sure that our support structures follow that same evolution. So summarizing, the bureau, like at the start of a new strategy for scouting, we're keen to innovate our structures. We want to better leverage all the information we have of you to clearly point our strategies, and to strengthen the collaboration and the volunteer support resources we have. That sort of makes sense?
Wow, it seems
Makes
like a
sense,
very
yeah.
ambitious plan, like, and also quite a lot of work for you, David, and the team.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're up to it. Like, I think we have a very good team in place, and again, with all those volunteers. But let's shift back to the plan, because we got distracted here a bit. So once the conference approves the plan, so what happens next, Diana? Like, how will the World Scouts Committee and the Bureau take it from here, and all the feedback that comes from here? What happens, like, after
I
we
don't
leave
have
Egypt?
idea.
No
No,
idea?
I'm joking. No, well, first, the the we need to receive like all the feedbacks and all the comments and all the inputs from this conference. For sure, you're going to take the final decisions about how the triennial plan will look like. The next World Scout Committee and the Bureau will put in place and yeah, finalize the triennial plan, and it's going to be shared to everyone by at the end of the year, more or less. So that's why all the breakout sessions are very important, because you are probably taking a lot of notes in the Padlet of all your discussions, your inputs, your comments, your feelings as well. And the committee will take all those feelings, all those comments, to create actually what we call the operational framework, right? I mean, which are all the actions, all the projects that we are going to create during the next triennium to make a reality this triennial plan. So for that, for the operational framework and put in place the operational framework, we need volunteers. And as you know, we just launched the open call for volunteers worldwide. So again, I use this opportunity to encourage you all to promote the open call through your networks, and also involve like different and new volunteers from different corners of the world. There are a lot of talent around the world, and it would be nice to have all those talents on board to make a triennial plan a reality. After that, of course, there's going to be like a continuous monitoring and evaluation of the alignments. And then that there's going to be like support from the World Scout Bureau, the volunteers as well, to give a hand to the regions, and also NSOs create like different tools and etc. to put in place and to adapt the triennial plan that we're going to prove in this conference.
One thing that I want to add here is about the collaborations with the regions. With the Wilson planning framework in place, there will be a coordination group that comprises of both staff and volunteers from all the regions and on a global level, in order to work on the alignment of all the triennial plans that are coming up from the World Conference, and also like we are having 5 regional conferences later, and on how to make sure that all the plans are aligned from that perspective. So that's how we try to make sure that the strategy for scouting is well aligned, and we have all the plans ready and get go.
All right, good. I think with that, we're coming to the end of our campfire triennial plan chat here. Thank you both for sharing your ideas and where you think Scouting and World
Sure.
Scouting should go. So really value to have your ideas, but I think what we're all looking forward is to hear your views and your thoughts about the triennial plan. So we have set up another round of breakouts for this. So Maury, can you give us like a brief overview of how this is going to work?
And for now, I want all of you for attention because we are explaining the logistics for it. So now is your time to work before we move on to breakout again. And before we move back to the chairs, I want to give you several practical matters. One, good news, you will be going back to your original group. So you are going to spend some more time with your morning breakout groups. Same language, same number, same location. Okay, so wherever you go in the morning to discuss all these nice strategy blocks, it's time for you to go back together with the own group in the morning to really look at the details of the strategic priorities and the objectives in detail. Okay, you will have another 90 minutes to go through the activities with the facilitator. We'll go through all the objectives and the one that you pick and choose, and also to think about, and I want to challenge you to really think about what are you trying to do in your organizations in order to achieve that. There will be Padlets to capture all these action steps. As Diana has mentioned, the next World Skills Committee will take all these actions and they will consolidate and come up with an operational framework that put all these actions after prioritization exercise into action. So your inputs are critical and your inputs are really essential to lay the foundation for the next World Skills Committee to really work on the operational framework and a triennial plan. Remember, like several things, same group, same number, same location. Okay, so when you go out for the breakouts, look back for your teammates, your patrol, and then go back to the same breakout groups. Another thing that I want to say, there will be one additional breakout. If you want, there is a one additional breakout to answer questions or like your queries about the WUSM planning framework. We have been talking about it for some time. If you have a particular questions and like issues about the WUSM planning framework, you are, let me see. You can attend this breakout at the Moranawa room at -3. Okay? And there will be specific facilitations on the WUSM planning framework. All right. I think that covers all the practicalities. And I hope you are excited that we get on this new discussions on the triennial plan. And with that, a round of applause to all our panelists here today. And I hope you are all excited as we do when we embark a new journey for this new triennial plan. And with that, I will head it over to the conference chair. Thank you, Edgar.
Thank you. Thank you, Maury. Thank you, David. Thank you, Diana. Thank you so much for giving us a window into the future, and we're going to see how those discussions are going to go. So just to give you a little bit of insight, during the session, please ensure you engage actively in discussions and provide your feedback on the proposed draft resolutions. Use the Q&A feature for any questions or comments if you're participating online. There are quite a number of them. Translation services will also be available to assist non-English speakers to be able to follow properly. Before you head out to the breakouts, though, I would like to invite to the stage Farah Naga, host team spokesperson, for some logistical announcements for our international evening. Now that's exciting.
Thank you. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope you have an even more amazing international night. And on that topic, let me give you some instructions to answer your questions. Okay. So the location is going to be the Logistic Hotel, which is right across the Intercontinental, and the NSO support representatives are going to support you and walk with you until the venue. It's going to be on the second floor in Violet Hall. For the setup, if you have equipment or anything that's not food that you want to set up, that's going to start at 3 p.m. And for the food, we'd like to have it at 6 so it can be warm, fresh, and tasty. And again, if you need any support, NSO support representatives can support you with that. For the electricity, performance, and songs, it's as you filled in the forms, so everything is ready for you to be there and to show us and represent your country. Last thing, for heavy equipment, please contact your NSO representative. They're going to help you with that with some of our amazing volunteers. Please take a second to take a picture of that. And if you still have any questions, please go to your NSO representative and they're going to support you with anything needed. Okay, thank you and have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to take care of us. As we finish, we ask you to return all your interpretation devices. If you need any support outside of program hours, the SOS phone line is available for emergencies from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm going to read it out so that you can write it down somewhere if in case you need it. The number is +201 100 531 846. I'm going to do it one more time. The SOS line is +201 100 531 846. So if in case you need anything outside program hours, be sure to dial that phone and someone will be able to assist you on the other end. With this said, let's head out to our breakout areas, find our groups and begin this important work together. We will meet you back in plenary here tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. Make sure you enjoy the international night. Thank you so much, conference.